Summoner's War Update 808 is here. We have the brand new Devil Maidens, we have the new 2 ways of the Living Armors and Frankensteins, and we have the new Dimension Raids. We also have, I think we have a couple other events and quality of life improvements, the first of which is the bonus Mystical Scroll event. Next up, we have the new Monster Update special event. This is the one we usually get where you get the points by summoning 3-stars and 4-star monsters, and then you get some mana, some energy, some crystals. You get a couple scrolls. It's nothing too crazy though. And the third and final event, we have the Dimension Piece Shop event where you get the Dimension Pieces from using Dimension Hole energy, and also as random drops from doing other things like, can you guys see the cursor? Yeah, like the Kairos Dungeon, Rift of Worlds. And then, of course, use 1 dimensional hole energy is 2 dimension pieces. We get 1 LD scroll, 1 legendary scroll. The pink stuff is the best stuff, so Devilmon. Actually, 30 mystical scrolls here, because there's up to 3 purchases. Reappraisal Stone times 2, 6-star legend runes. You can select which one you want, so most people are going to choose Violent Runes, but, you know, it's going to be some duds. Dimensional hole energy plus 10, up to 10 purchases though, so that's 100 dimensional hole energy. And then over here we have another 40 dimensional hole. You got a couple scrolls here, but 40 extra dimensional hole energies to by Second Awakening the new Second Awakened Frankensteins and Living Armor. This one is a significantly better event in my opinion than the other two. And of course the big thing, the actual 808 update. So the first thing that I want to mention is we are here at the bottom. We get a Devilmon as one of the rewards for us being patient to wait. There's like 10 minutes of server maintenance and we get a Devilmon to thank us for being patient for that, which I kind of feel like I would take as many Devilmons as they're going to give out for being patient for that. I'll stop playing for a week if they're going to keep giving out Devilmons. Anyway, 808 update. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention the reason that, like, I actually haven't seen you for 5 days. I know you saw me a couple hours ago in the last video that we posted, but I've been out of the country for the past 5 days. That's why I couldn't do a video on the Devil Maidens when they first got announced. So that's the reason that they were pre-recorded videos. I was not even in the same country. Anyway, moving on, we have the new Dimension Raid added. It is basically like R5, but for the Dimension Hole. And this is where you can get pieces for crafting gems and grinds for the ancient runes, and also you can get the actual gems and grinds as well. And this is more information on the, we'll do a whole video on just the Dimension Raid. Since I'm obviously back now, we'll do a whole video on the Dimension Raid tomorrow. We'll play around with that. We do have the Second Awakened monsters. You guys can see that. Yes, I believe you can. So they really didn't get crazy changes. Some of them got pretty changes that I think are going to make them meta, but for the most part, it's not that crazy. We have the fire. I glanced over these. If I'm missing something, then I might be missing something. They got like little tweaks though. So stun the target for 1 turn, 50% chance. The target's under defense reduction effects. The attack speed is reduced for 2 turns. Damage increases according to defense, and also increased by 50% if the target is immune to stun. So that is interesting. Which means bosses, right? Bosses are immune to stun. Also, there's some different monsters there, like Mayhao Wang is immune to stun. But I think this is going to be potentially more beneficial for bosses. We also do have the Powerful Smash. Some of these could be really good for R5 if you're a casual player and you're doing R5 that's not like trying to speedrun it. Or also the new Dimension Raids as well. I'm sure they're going to be used a lot in those. But slams the enemy with a hammer, decreasing the target's defense for 2 turns. According to it's just a single target. It really isn't that crazy of a skill, the Powerful Smash. And then the Lava Armor passive, increases max HP proportion to the defense at the start of the battle, is now also ignores all damage reduction effects when attacking the enemy. I don't think this one's going to be crazy meta or anything. Maybe it might be useful in some areas of Dimension Hole, but you don't have to go crazy trying to build this unless you want to build them all. And then we have the Water Living Armor, Pulverized, strikes the enemy with a target, strikes the enemy with a hammer and stuns the target for 1 turn, 50% chance. If it is under defense reduction effects, its attack speed is decreased for 2 turns, same as the other one. But this third part is damage increases according to your defense, which is the same as the, so it just doesn't have the increased damage if target's immune to stun. And then we have the Spinning Smash, swings a hammer, AoE, proportion to your defense, and defense break 3 turns with a 50% chance. Also, we don't know what the skill ups situation is going to be, and also remember they are getting increased stats anyway. They're getting like increased HP and attack power and defense when they get Second Awakened. So The third one, though, for the Glacier Armor, this is the exciting part, gains immunity against inability and continuous damage effects. In addition, removes one beneficial effect granted on the attacker with a 50% chance and decreases attack speed for 2 turns. So it has it already decreased attack speed, and it already had immunity against continuous damage. It didn't have immunity against inability effects, though. So keep that in mind. Now this one is in a small pool of units that are immune to CC. So that could be a very beneficial thing for possibly some RTA comps. We will see some like turn 2 bruiser comps. I wouldn't be that surprised to see, because it's a decent enough unit now with the extra stats from Second Awakening. It's rough bringing defense-based units into RTA in the first place because additional damage eats them alive. So this might be okay, though, against CC teams. So it is going to remove this remove beneficial effect wasn't on here before. So it's a strip and slow when attacked. That's not bad. And can't get stunned, can't get continued. So basically, if your opponent brings a Rika, you just bring this and you don't have to worry about anything because it's going to be nice. And then what else do we have? We have the Copper, which I don't think really got much of a change at all. It's the same for skill. Second skill is AoE defense break. Third skill is just damage increases according to your defense. Ignore the target's defense. It still has the condition, though. So Copper just got better base stats, and that's about it. Copper is basically the same. Fire Living Armor is kind of... He's not the same, but he's not really much of a change. I think the Water one is so far the most impactful one. Copper's just... You have Copper built, so you're going to build 2A Copper because he's just a better version. But he's really not going to be anything like, wow, we're going to bring him everywhere now, when we weren't bringing him everywhere before. So if you use him, then he's better. If you don't use him, then it really probably wouldn't change too much, I don't think. Then we have the Light 1, Pulverize is the same exact thing as the other ones. Powerful Smash slams the enemy. Irresistible attack, decreasing the target's defense for 2 turns. Damage increases according to your defense. And then the Ruins passive. If the enemy is under defense reduction effects. So this was actually a typo from the first time we read it in a video the other day. I think it was like the night before I left. I was leaving in like a few hours. And I was like, oh, we got to do a video. That's how this works. See, it said something else before, and I was like, this probably means defense reduction effects, and it is defense reduction effects. Attacks made 3 more times to inflict damage that increases according to your defense, disturbs HP for 2 turns. So this could be nice. Is he going to be super meta? Probably not. I think the Water one is going to be the most useful so far. Then we have the Dark one, but I mean, they're getting better stats regardless. Dark 1, so strikes the enemy with a hammer, same exact thing, damage increases according to your defense. This does also have a block beneficial effects for 2 turns with a 50% chance, which the other ones don't have, so keep that in mind. Then we have this AoE defense break, and also block beneficial effects for 2 turns, and then we also have this, it is a attack power break, and block beneficial effects for 2 turns. So we have block beneficial effects on every single skill. That's not bad for Steel Fortress, especially if you have a light dark on the account. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of like some of the other ones too. I really like the Wind Kung Fu Girl in Steel Fortress. Of course, I like the Fire Lizard Man in Steel Fortress if he does what he's supposed to do. But, or you could just use a dot team. Half of you guys are using dot teams in Steel Fortress and not even worrying about anything else. So, this is pretty solid for making sure the enemy doesn't have beneficial effects, considering everything is going to be blocking them. Or so we hope. And then glancing hit on everything. Anyway, yeah, I think the one that got the biggest change was the Water Living Armor, since he now can't be CC'd, and he will also strip things. And then also the Dark Living Armor has block beneficial effects on every skill now. It's just my personal opinion. And then we have the Frankensteins. Attack the enemy 2 times, damage proportion to your defense, 65 chance. I think it's not a 65 chance right now. It is a... Okay, so it is a 25, and then it goes up another 20, so it's a 45. So now it's a 65% chance to stun the enemy. If the target is not suffering any harmful effects, 1 additional attack is added. This one, though, Body Press, crushes all enemies. This was 35 before. It was 30 before. Now it is 50. damage proportion to your max HP and defense. It was already proportionate to that. And then the full power punch. This is, I think, just the same. Yeah, it's you will be stunned for 1 turn after performing this attack. Damage is proportional to your defense. So he just has better stats now, which is good. Like, for example, if you're fighting a Leica Feng Yan, and there's not too many of these defenses anymore, but if you're fighting a Leica Feng Yan and Wusa defense in Siege, and you take out the Feng Yan, and then you take out the Leica, and your damage dealer is the Bulldozer, prior to Second Awakening, if Wusa procs enough with skill 2 throughout the match, he can just ignore, because the defense, it's a defense unit, so the defense doesn't matter. So he can just ignore the defense and potentially take out the Frankenstein, even if you have heals on the team. If he procs enough, you know how these things go. But yeah, now he just at least has better base HP. So there is that. Is he super game changing? No, he is not. He didn't really change much. Water 1, this is in proportion to your defense. This is the 45% chance. So this is a 45% chance to stun. This one is a 65% chance to stun. And then we have the Taunt, unleashes devastating shot to provoke all enemies for 1 turn. And the Twisted Senses passive, this changed, becomes immune against defense decreasing effects, which it already had. Attack bar is filled up by 30% whenever you get hit by a critical hit from the enemy. I believe that is exactly the same as before. In addition, your attack bar is filled up. This is the different part. Your attack bar is filled up if the damage received is 50% or higher than your max HP. I feel like if it is a water unit and is getting hit for 50% plus damage, it's probably a Lucian, and he's probably going to finish the job. That's just my thoughts. I suppose it could be really nice against Mo Longs, but it doesn't really have any sustain after that. It's not like fill 50% and then do something and heal back up. It's just take damage and then he gets a turn, and then that's it. This guy, though, the Water Frankenstein, is pretty good against control teams, though. So keep that in mind. He is pretty good already in Guild Siege, so now it makes him better in Guild Siege. But I think I would be more excited about the base stats than the 50% or higher, and then your attack bar is filled up. Personally, I don't think that really changes. Like, it seems good at first. Like, as soon as you read it, you're like, oh, and then you're like, you're trying to play out some situations in your head, and you're like, they're probably just gonna finish the job if it's that much damage. That's just because it's not gonna be like a defense break. It's gonna be like big nuke damage. Anyway, it's just better base stats make these units better. They're already useful units, so there is that. The Wind one was nowhere before. He was not a great unit before. So now we have the first skill change is recovers your HP by 20% of the damage dealt. So he has some kind of life drain mechanics, or life, not drain, but he will get some HP back. And then we have the provoke over here, and then the strange reversible reaction. This is similar to what it was before. The first and second parts are the same. Defense increases by 25 for each beneficial effect granted on yourself, and your attack speed increased by 25% for each harmful effect. But this one is different. In addition, your attack bar increases by 20% whenever you're granted with beneficial or harmful effects. Does not apply to the effect you receive at the start of the battle, because then it would be, you just make him like 350 speed, not even have to worry about it. But this could be very interesting against control teams, because they're going to put a lot of debuffs on you, especially like, I want to say Nepthys, but he's not really going to be able to do much when he gets a turn after Nepthys does the crazy stuff to him. But if opponent's putting a lot of debuffs on you, you're going to increase your attack bar and possibly steal some turns. So we're definitely steal some turns, but possibly change the tide of the battle. So we will see. This I think might be the biggest game change, biggest improvement of a unit. This one and the water living armor. But that's just, we'll see in action how good it is. So we have the light one attacks the enemy 2 times. It's the same. It's the 45% chance to stun. They don't have the heal or anything, and they don't have the same 60. That's not the right unit. 65% like the fire one does. So this is just the 45. And then the body press crushes all enemies to decrease the attack bar and also stun them for 1. So this is a decrease of 30% and stun them for 1 turn with a 50% chance. So this is nice to have that extra stun there. And then this is, I believe this is just the same, if I recall correctly. Yeah, this looks no. It's this now decreases attack bar in addition. So you can control maybe a boss in TOA. This could be a decent TOA unit over here because we got the CC, we got the decreased attack gauge, and then we have the decreased attack gauge here. So he's going to be a kind of just a CC unit, I feel, or a better CC unit. So now we have the stuns and the decreased attack gauge. Then we have the dark one. So this one is interesting. First skill is similar to the other ones. It's got the 45% chance to stun. And then the second one is unleash a devastating attack. This is provoke all enemies for 2 turns with a 50% chance. Like the light paladin, but you can't, what is the, I think it's just 100% chance on the light paladin, isn't it? It's been so long. I don't even remember. It's been so, yeah, just 100% chance with her. So this one is a 50% chance. And then the rage charge, damage increase. So this is the one that does like a crazy, like if you leave him alone for like 24 hours in a match that you're autoing against like the light cowgirl, he can do like 1,000,000 damage. You can do just crazy damage. Damage increased according to the number of attacks you've received. Damage taken can be decreased up to 70%. Damage increase will reset when you attack the enemy. So this is, I mean, it kind of half explains it. Damage increased according to the number of your attacks you've received. Damage taken can be decreased up to 70%. It doesn't really say too much here, aside from, you know, literally what it says. But I would assume that throughout the course of the match, damage keeps getting decreased. Damage increase will reset when you attack an enemy. So this could just make him last forever. That could be really cool. He can still get CC'd though. So he can still get CC'd. He's still a defense unit, so he can still get ignore defense, right? He can still get defense broken. So I don't know that that's going to be something that actually happens. It's like Katarina. Like Katarina can do a lot of damage if she has the setup. But if she doesn't have the setup, she can get sniped. She can get, well, it does have high base speed. But yeah, like it's just like you can't bring Katarina everywhere. Is kind of what I'm trying to say. I'm saying the long way, but you can't bring Katarina as many places, even though she seems great and she does a lot of damage. You need a certain situation to occur. But this could be, depending on the team, if you're running a bruiser team, this could be pretty solid. So this one we're gonna have to see. This one seems like it's already going to be useful regardless, this wind one. And then the other ones are just better. Like this one's better for TOA now. The light one, water one, and fire one, they're already used in Siege, and they're just going to be used more because they're just a little bit more effective, and that is going to be good enough. So then we have the statues of each dimension added to craft. We talked about this briefly a few days ago, so that didn't change. Then we have the Devil Maidens. So these ones, potentially some of these could be crazier than it seems if they have very high base speed, if they have speed leads. So we will see. Maybe by the time you're watching this video, it's already in the game, but at the time that I'm recording this, it's not in the game just yet. It will be in the game in like an hour or two. So we have the first skill attack. The enemy increases chances of landing a glancing hit for 2 turns. The spooky ghosts appear from the bag to attack all enemies. Oh, this is a strip and attack power break, which may or may not land. First, you have to actually get the skill to activate, and then you have to see if it gets resisted or not. So this could be, especially if it's super fast. Like if this is 120 speed, strip and attack power break kind of destroys nukes. So this kind of like Spectra, but you don't have to, like, oh, maybe the opponent has Wilburns. Like you don't have to worry about that as much. And then the Bind Hounds of Hell. Wicked. This is kind of interesting. Well, maybe not interesting. This seems like it could be very useful. Wicked Hounds of Hell attack all enemies 3 times. Each attack inflicts continuous damage for 2 turns, right? So AoE 3 times, continuous damage for 2 turns. This is very much like Rika. Disturbs HP recovery for 2 turns and decreases the attack bar by... I read that wrong. I apologize. I was like, man, that's more continuous damage than I thought it was. The first one is continuous damage. Second one, disturb HP recovery. Third one, decrease attack bar. in proportion to the number of harmful effects granted on enemies respectively. So this is kind of cool though, because it reminds me of the fire on Miyuji, which will not quite the same, but kind of nice CC and also CC and also CC. There we go. And we got the strip. We get this. There's a lot. Strip and 4 debuffs and attack gauge decrease. Actually, we got the glancing hit too. So that's pretty solid, I think. We'll see if the speed lead. We'll see if the base speed, whatever. The water one. So this kind of reminds me of Scroll Trap a little bit. It's not quite the same. We also do have a new harmful effects. Grants or new beneficial effect. I would assume that that's how that's going to work, but we'll see how exactly it functions in the actual game. First skill is exactly the same as the fire one. Grants the reflect harmful effect on the ally for 2 turns. Target under reflect harmful effects reflects harmful effects, excluding inability effects. So this could be cool, but I feel like this might be too much setup since it's not like something that happens passively. So I think that if this was a passive activation, that would be much cooler. But again, we'll see if they have speed leads. We'll see if they have, very high base speeds. Then we have the Bind Demon Bag. Demon Bag devours the target to leave it out of the battle and decreases its HP. So this is kind of like Scroll Trap, right? Leave it out of the battle, decreases its HP by 5% whenever the enemy and ally's turn ends. Effect lasts for 10 turns and its duration is decreased by 1 turn if the caster gets attacked. The skill can only be used on 1 monster at a time. It's very much like Scroll Trap, however, also decreases HP. So that is pretty fun. I'm not sure that I'm going to love this second skill. First off, I'm not sure if I'm going to actually get any of these units. I expect to get 0 of them. But if I do, I don't know if I would love the second skill. I feel like it's cooler that it's a new skill, but I don't think that this specifically Mischievous Trap is going to be as effective as I would want it to be. The Bind Demon Bag does seems very cool. And then we have the Wind one, which is, these are, Fire 1 is attack, Water 1 is support, Wind is support, Light is defense, and then Dark is attack. So the Wind one is same first skill. The second skill is the Strip and Attack Power Break, and then the third skill is prevents the enemy from removing harmful effects with an 80% chance for 1 turn if you attack the enemy under harmful effects. In addition, your attack bar increases by 10% whenever the enemy is granted with harmful effects. So this could be super nasty with things that give enemies a lot of harmful effects just anytime they take a turn, because then this is just gonna be feeding her so many extra turns. So I'm thinking, like, I mean, if you have the Dark Mage, that could be a pretty nasty combination. But also, Dark Mage plus a lot of things is a pretty nasty combination, so that kind of goes without saying. So that's pretty interesting that she keeps getting attack bar increase. And then we have the Light one. So this is the defense-based one. First skill is the glancing hit, like the other one. Second skill is an AoE strip and attack power break, like the other ones. And then the Blessing of Curse passive for every harmful effect granted on yourself. So this one's kind of like a buffed Nat 5 version of the Dark Dalsim. Kind of like that. So for every harmful effect granted on yourself, damage decreased by 20%, and damage taken is decreased by 5%. Grants one of the harmful effects granted on yourself to the target when attacking. In addition, ignores all the harmful effects granted on yourself and gains immunity against the Oblivion effect. So not quite the same as the Dark Dalsim, but similar to that, and also immune against Oblivion. So that's interesting. I'm sure that one is going to be very useful. And then we have this one. So this is different than the rest of them because this actually summons a demon. So the first skill is the same as the other ones. The second skill is the same as the water one, which is, I am just zooming all around this page. The second one, the water one, which is the reflect harmful effect situation, the Mischievous Trap. And then the Bind Lord of Hell calls out the Lord of Hell to fight for you. The Lord of Hell gains a turn instantly and has 50% increased HP, that's 50% your max HP, and 50% increased crit damage. Once HP becomes 0, it disappears, and the Devil Maiden reappears. This kind of, it's not quite the same as the Beast Riders, but the fact that there's 2 different versions of the unit kind of reminds me of the Beast Riders a little bit. I mean, you could say this kind of like the Druids as well, but yeah, it's just kind of similar to those units. But those units are very popular. They're very useful. So I'm sure this is going to be the same situation. It is a brand new LD5 though. So yeah. We have the Lord of Hell attacks all enemies decrease their defense for 2 turns with a 50% chance. If the enemy's defense is already decreased, the attack decreases the attack power for 2 turns with a 50% chance instead. An enemy with decreased defense and attack power will be stunned for 1 turn with a 50% chance when attacked. And then we have the Unbind, removes the bind to make the Lord of Hell disappear from the battle, and Devil Maiden reappear. Upon reappearance, Devil Maiden gains a turn instantly. So, also keep in mind that this is an AoE. Seems to be the only skill he has, Power of Destruction, which is just an AoE every turn. That seems pretty solid. So, yeah, and then we have the new monster Summon Banner. I'm interested to see these things in action. I think the thing that I'm maybe most excited I don't know what I'm most excited about. Honestly, I thought they were going to be a little bit more different than they already are, the Living Armors and the Frankensteins. They seem, for the most part, just different visually, and most of their skills are very similar to what they were before. We also have the SWC stuff. We have the new crafting materials to craft some grindstones and gems. We also have some improvements to the Rift Dungeon. Now it's going to be a little bit faster because the groggy state is going to be cut, and then you get increased damage from, well, there's a few different changes as well. Animations we played slightly faster, but if you beat it, you get 1,000,000 points instead of 500,000. I don't know how the people that have worked so hard to get these crazy scores on the Rift Beasts are going to feel about this, because they're not going to get those crazy scores again just because the groggy time is going to be halved. So they might not be very happy about that, but this is going to be better for people trying to power farm it. They might be happy about that because they're like, I don't need that score again. I already got it. It's already on Reddit, and now I'm just gonna be able to farm these dungeons much faster. So you're gonna be able to farm these dungeons much faster. This is kind of nice UI change over here, and then we have, of course, new packs. Of course. I think that's about it. We kind of glanced over the Rift raids, but it's basically just the Dimension Hole version of the regular raids. I was hoping for a little bit more from the Living Armors and the Frankensteins, but, you know, it's come to us and it's Summoner's War. So maybe I shouldn't have been expecting too much. Maybe that's on me. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you guys are excited for the new update and new units. Let me know what you plan to Second Awaken first in the comments below. And I will see you in a few hours for the next video on these new 2As.